What's up, YouTube? I wanted to put out a little bit more content for you guys. The weekly videos going over my loads, where I stopped at, all that stuff, where I picked up, what states I went through, if I went through anything cool. But then I also want to put out a weekly headcam footage where it's just nothing but headcam POV, unedited, straight, 15 minutes, 20 minutes of me talking. And I'll talk about whatever's on my mind, idiotic ramblings, we'll call it. So here is 20 minutes unedited of that. I was rolling through Montana. And in the thumbnail, I will always, for the POV of the headcam stuff, I'll always put what I talk about and where I'm going through, like Montana in this scenario. So here's that unedited stuff. I hope you enjoy. Be looking for 2 videos a week now coming out, just to push a little bit more content out to you guys. And this is going to be a great video for anyone who wants to put it on YouTube and maybe if they're driving, pop back over to their maps or, their ELD if they're using a tablet for maps and ELD. This is something you can literally just sit and listen to. It's like a one-man podcast. I don't know. Maybe I'm entertaining. Maybe I have a lot to talk about. I can talk forever. I can repeat the same thing 3 different times at the beginning, middle, and end of the video. Hey, did you guys know interstates that run east and west are always even number? And the ones that run north and south are always odd number, like I-5, I-15, I-95. And we have I-80 that runs east and west, I-10. All right, here's that POV headcam footage. I hope you guys enjoy. Look for 2 videos a week, headcam, and then weekly recap of the loads that I did. All right, guys, so this is going to be the first just headcam chat footage. I've got both microphones attached. So bought these microphones off Amazon. They're noise canceling. I've got one attached to my chest. That's just clipped to my necklace that I normally wear. And then I've got one attached to my sunglasses right here on the right. And then we've got the phone strapped up to my forehead with the little headcam deal. It looks goofy as hell. Hang on here. I'm going to roll the window down and lean out and look at me in the mirror. Probably look goofy as heck. I don't know if you guys can see me. But yeah, I look goofy as heck. I just got a cell phone strapped to my forehead with a headcam deal. But got to do it for the gram, obviously for the YouTube. But anyway, I figured I will put out like a weekly video of just to kind of push more content. I'll put out a weekly video of, the regular stuff that you've been seeing. But then I'll just do once a week, a chatting and headcam. So this will be the first one. So it's like, if you're a driver like me and you watch people on YouTube, I've got YouTube Pro. So I'll turn on, or YouTube Red, I forget what it's called. I pay for YouTube, 20 bucks a month. So I'll just literally put it on and listen to people's videos instead of watch them. Most of my YouTube intake is from just listening. But I was like, hey, why not kick off the fan? Why not, there used to be a guy named Tim Gorley that would do this headcam stuff. And he had that big freaking Peterbilt hood out in front of him with his brand new 389. And he's a gosh darn professional. Oh man, I thought that was a fire out there. I doubt you guys can see out there. It's a whole bunch of dust. Just someone driving a dirt road, freaking kicking up dust like crazy. But I think it's a semi-truck on a dirt road back there. Must be a field truck or something. We'll see when we get a little closer. All right, but anyway, quit losing focus, Ryan. I'm like, squirrel. So today is August 2nd. It's Saturday. I am on my way to Fremont, Nebraska, with this load of lumber. But you can maybe see up here on my cameras. And I've been noticing a lot of motorcycles. It's great weather. It's motorcycle weather. It's camping weather, like camper. There was a camper back there on the shoulder. Got a lot of campers and a lot of motorcycles out. But it got me thinking, and I overheard a gentleman say Sturgis when I was in the rest area this morning, and I was like, oh, let's check if it's Sturgis right now. And it is. Sturgis is going on the 1st through the 10th of August here. So we are in the 2nd day of Sturgis. Yeah, that's a field truck coming down, kicking up all that dust. But, so the route from Montana, from Billings, Montana to Fremont, Nebraska takes you on the GPS, it takes you on US 212. And then it pops you out just outside of Sturgis. I forget the town name right now. You go through Belfouche and then drop down into Sturgis and then run across Rapid City. Now, if you've ever been on the 212, you know that it can get single lane, and it's not showing any traffic right now. But for the sake and safety of any campers or motorcyclists or other trucks, I'm not going to take the 212. I'm going to take 90. I'm going to continue running 90 down to where it splits. So back there in Billings, 90 goes south-ish, and 94 goes north. So I'm going to run 90 down to past Sheridan, and then I'm going to take it out through Gillette, because then right there below Sheridan is where the 25 starts. I think they should have continued the 25 all the way up to Billings, and 90 should run across North Dakota, and I don't know, whatever goes through Gillette should have been named something different. I didn't make the interstate, so there's probably a reason behind that. But just because it's going to be single lane through, like, there's a few areas of single lane, that's probably the way that most motorcyclists and campers and stuff like that, and most trucks are going to go. It is 50 miles longer on the road to go the 90 through Gillette into Rapid City. But GPS says it only takes 9 minutes longer. And so I'll put down the extra miles and burn the extra fuel at roughly about the same pace and speed. Probably take a truck 20 minutes longer. And I can't say that I've ever gone out 90 straight through Gillette from Sheridan, because you always take the 212. But just because the amount of traffic, I think it's the safer and better choice. You know, just mitigate accidents, backup, traffic. And I know it's the middle of nowhere, but Sturgis can get wild. I mean, thousands upon thousands of bikers and people that just enjoy the motorcycle culture show up from all sorts of parts of the country. So I think it's just smarter choice, I should say, to go 90 instead, where I always have 2 lanes instead of getting out into that reservoir territory, Indian reservoir territory, and maybe dealing with single lanes, hill, roundabouts, through like Deer Lodge and stuff like that. So we're going to go the longer route, but probably the smoother route. In other news, the EPA, Lee Zeldin, was in Indiana at a Kenworth dealer, and he announced that the EPA is trying to roll back all their regulations on greenhouse gas emission system. So if you're not familiar with that, I'll go over that a little bit with you. There's a House rule. I think the number is HR 4117. And attached to it is a bill, which that bill needs to go through and become a law. But it's attached to like the Freedom Fuel Act or something like that. Don't quote me on it. I haven't done a bunch of research. But that will roll back greenhouse gas emission systems. And I run emissions on this. I run DEF. I run a tuner. I have changed the DPF filters like right about 500,000. We're hoping the new ones that have been in there will take it all the way up to 1 million. But if this passes and they roll back greenhouse gas, so GHG, like this engine that I have is referred to as a GHG 17. They also, Detroit's had a GHG 14 and a GHG 10. So that's greenhouse gas 2010, 2014, and 2017. If they rule those emissions rules back, you can bet your bottom dollar that I am blocking off the EGR. I am blocking off the EGR hot tube that goes into the intake. I am cutting out actually I have some hollowed out DPF filters at home already. I had to buy my old cores back because they were no good when I did the DPF filters. That was $1,000. So I was like, yeah, for $1,000, I'm taking those canisters. I hollowed them out with a Sawzall with the future thought of, if this ever happened, of course I would never do it illegally. If this ever happened and they roll back emissions, we're throwing in hollow cans and we're running a deleted emissions truck illegally, which will be phenomenal in this country. I mean, it's going to keep trucks out of shops. It's going to open up things for manufacturers. Cummins is going to have like sweat off their back because their engines suck. Dude, I'm sorry, if you drive an ISX, you're hardly getting past 650,000 without a rebuild. Like mine needed a rebuild at 498 or 496. My ISX needed a rebuild before 500,000. And you see them all, like they'll have like 580,000 miles on them for sale. And it'll be like rebuilt 180,000 miles ago. That means they had a rebuild at 400,000. Like ISX does not make a good engine. I'm sorry. PACCAR's MX-13, they're small. I think they're underpowered. They originally came from Europe. They should be in a cab over motor. A cab over body, because they are rear gear driven. That means all of their gears with like the timing chain and everything like that goes between the camshaft and the crank. That is all at the rear of the motor. And that's great when you can lift the cab forward in a cab over and perform a camshaft swap by just pulling it out the back. The cam would come out the back. The camshaft would. To do that in a conventional truck like this, we have the firewall. So you're going to need to pop the hood, pull the cylinder head off. And I mean, that job just got way more labor intensive, all because that European motor should be in a cab over and not in, a Kenworth T680 or a Peterbilt 579 with a firewall. So I don't think the PACCAR is a great motor. I have seen them deleted running a lot of miles. Everything deleted can run more miles, obviously. Yeah, but Detroit built this motor, the DD15 series, from the ground up. We got some more bikers heading on to Sturgis. They're going to have a good time for 10 days, man. That's going to be a blast. Seeing a lot of guys riding. You're seeing a lot of guys, trailering their bikes out. And, it's a lot of people going to be having fun in Sturgis. I hope they're all safe and everything. I also ride a motorcycle. I don't know if I've mentioned that or dropped any of that footage or anything like that in YouTube. I don't think I have. But I have a Indian Scout. Just a little 60 cubic inch motor. Thing scoots and goots, though. It's like 999cc, a 5-speed, extremely fun little Sportster that I have. I just love the way you can maneuver them versus those Danas and any sort of bagger bike and stuff like that. But also reliable as all get out. Indian got bought out by Polaris. So all the electronics are great on it. Polaris, they make side-by-side UTVs. Polaris is such a big name. That was a good purchase. For me on the motorcycle side of things, because it's water cooled versus air cooled. Like Harley's they're stuck in the past, man. They went woke. They've been stuck in the past with their bikes, and I don't know. I have my opinions on Harleys. They're nice bikes. The only Harley I would ever buy would be like an 883 or a 48. They call them an Iron 883 or a 48 or maybe a Sportster 1200. But that's just because I like the looks of those. But anyway, okay, enough of motorcycles. Back to the EPA stuff and the diesel talk. So Detroit built this motor from the ground up. They got rid of the 60 series in 2009, 2010 when they were being forced with these emissions rules. They built the DD13, the DD15, and the DD16 from the ground up with the emission systems on them. That's why their emission system have been more reliable than the Cummins, which is crazy because Cummins really overpowers the emissions equipment. A lot of the filters and sensors, even on other engines, PACCAR and Detroit, are a Cummins product. Cummins, Mercedes-Benz, so on and so forth like that. It's very interesting. So, sorry for the head movement, guys. You know I got to drive. But where was I going with that? So if the emissions roll back, like Lee Zeldin just kind of announced, man, we're going to see, this is a pivotal moment in our history. Our administration that's in the office rolling back regulation like they are, holy smokes, it's freaking awesome. And we're going to see manufacturers like Cummins, PACCAR, and Detroit start making big strides, especially if they're able to produce engines without emissions put on them. I mean, if this passes, people that ordered their trucks in 2025 with emissions, that they might be shooting themselves in the foot, just dropping 200 grand on a brand new truck, or, you know, fleets that are like shooting themselves in the foot. And now we got to take all this emissions equipment off because we all know it's more reliable without it. And oh, it's gonna be crazy. But yeah, if it passes, I absolutely am deleting this truck. I'm also gonna put in a guillotine exhaust brake because then it won't mess with the back pressure from the filters being in front of the filters and stuff like that. It's just gonna be hollow straight out. It's just, this is a pivotal moment in freaking history. I really hope it passes soon, within the next 45 days or so. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting here like tapping my foot ready to delete the emissions, but it just blows me away. I definitely did not see this coming, down the pipeline. Trump's administration rolling back these regulations. So that's going to be sweet. It would make me not shy away from the other motors a little bit more. I mean, after owning a Cummins and owning this Detroit, I would 1,000% say I am diehard Detroit motors over Cummins. By the way, guys, and you can have your opinions about Detroit and Cummins yourself. My buddy, him and I used to haul telephone poles out of Licking, Missouri. And when we hit the hills coming out of those Missouri highways and U.S. highways, and it was passing lane, I would get over to the left and I would walk him up that freaking hill with his 565 Cummins and his 18 speed. Here I am in my DD15 and a 10 speed. And I forget if I had 355s or 264s, but either way, I think I had already had my 264s installed. I would walk away from him up the hill. My buddy Enos. So I just think these are better performing motors. They're more reliable. They're both equivalent to work on, you know what I mean? A motor's a motor. But if the emissions rolled out and were no longer a thing, I wouldn't be scared of getting a PACCAR that didn't have emissions. I wouldn't be so scared of getting and PACCARs are a lot of plastic, but I don't know, you buy a new truck, you get a warranty, you work hard. I mean, Abby and I would freaking be in the truck together. If we bought a brand new truck, swap these two out, just get rid of them. Be in a brand new truck, like a nice Kenworth T680, luxurious on the inside, plenty of space for both of us, all the amenities. Get rid of these two trucks, have a brand new truck, no emissions, full warranty on it, pay it off before it hits 500,000, turn around, swap it out, be doing team driving together. And I saw some nice looking T680s up in Montana when I just rolled through Billings. They had an extra drop axle on them. I was like, ooh, that looks good with that little bit of extra frame. Like, give me a 283 wheelbase, an extra drop axle like this truck used to have, and a full sleeper that's tall and stand up. Like, dude, don't get me wrong, I love the hood trucks. I love a 389. I love it. I'm more of a W9 guy at looks. If you want a work truck, buy a Kenworth. If you want a show truck, buy a Peterbilt. But business is business, man. I do have an eye for an aerodynamic truck that is done up. An aerodynamic truck that is done up right will catch my eye more than a 389, 379, or W900 that's done up. because you don't see them done up so often. You know what I mean? It throws you off. It's out of the ordinary. And so, yeah, that's, I think, just a whole bunch of random rambling. Little head cam footage out of Montana here. We're going to end up on the 90 instead of the 212. We talked about some emissions, talked about Sturgis and motorcycles. This is going to be the occasional 15-minute headcam footage of me just talking random thoughts. I'll label them all as headcam through, wherever I'm going. And, the title is obviously going to be, like, you guys have read the title if you clicked on this and watched it all already. Headcam through Montana with random ramblings about EPA, Sturgis, and semi-trucks or whatever. So yeah, we'll just do some headcam footage as much as, at least once a week. Once a week I'll do these random freaking headcam drops. You guys get a little peek inside my mind, or, drop comments about stuff that we should talk about. Ooh, I can crash out on my ELD talk while doing some headcam footage eventually. So I think this will wrap it up. It's probably been 15 minutes or so. I really don't know. I have the phone on my head, so I can't really look up at that angle. It's like strapped to my forehead. But yeah, that'll do. How about that for some random ramblings? We're going to get back to one random ramblings headcam footage a week, and then a weekly wrap up of the whole shebang of the loads I'm doing, like this lumber, or I delivered some. I have no idea what they were. I don't know if I filmed a lot. Oh shoot! You know what? The Bellingham load that I dropped off in Washington, I didn't really film what it was. I didn't even film it strapped down. That load was. I had to get it there as quick as possible. So when I parked, it was 10 hours. I'm back up and rolling. Sleep, 10 hours, back up, I'm rolling. And I know that's like normal, but when you are pushing miles from San Diego to Seattle in 2 days, and you got to be on point and get it quick as there. I left El Cajon at like 3 p.m. on Monday, and I was in Seattle at 9:30 a.m. delivering on Wednesday. So, yeah, we avoided some traffic over the Grapevine. I took the long way around went up to the 15 and then bounced over to Lancaster, Palmdale, and then up to Lancaster, and then out I think it's the 114 into, oh gosh, what is that, Fort Tejon or something like that, right in the middle of the Grapevine, and then shot down the Grapevine. Because there was a big backup on the Grapevine, and I talked to a gentleman, and he said, oh yeah, it was just brush fire and a couple accidents, but that on the GPS, it shows those red lines. That was a big red line, and I was like, I'm gonna avoid that up the Grapevine. But yeah, we boogied so much we couldn't really film. We just didn't film. That's my bad, guys, about the San Diego to Seattle load. And then lumber's boring. So anyway, if you stuck with me, come back next time for some weekly headcam footage of rambling, unedited thoughts, and that's what it'll be. If you just want to put it on and have someone to listen to, it's like a one-person podcast. Hopefully I'm entertaining enough, huh? But all right, y'all, stay safe, keep the rubber down. And why would I say that? Why would I say keep the rubber down? I don't ever say shit like that. I don't know. You guys know I say stay loaded, but it doesn't feel right saying stay loaded because it's not my normal video. Later, pendejos.